The United Kingdom is already in the depths of a significant recession, according to the Chancellor Rishi Sunak, in the light of a record fall in economic output in March, and that's according to the Office for National Statistics. The impact of the pandemic is likely to be even harder in the coming months, with one prominent expert saying that the economy was now in freefall. The UK economy shrank by 2% in the first 3 months of this year, a period that includes just the beginning of the lockdown. The Independent Institute of Fiscal Studies warns that the real impact of the lockdown is yet to be felt, with household spending shrinking at the fastest rate in more than 11 years. Our Economics Editor Faisal Islam has more details.
At Denroy Plastics in Bangor, Northern Ireland, they are happy to help the national effort on personal protective equipment. But what they really want to be making is aeroplanes. And with empty industry order books, they now face further pressure from the threat of a travel quarantine.
I think it would be naive to suggest that everyone will get through this. Unfortunately, there will be casualties. The critical thing for the UK aerospace market is to get aircraft flying again, and this quarantine will, of course, inhibit that and delay that. So what that means is really for the sector that going forward, particularly in the second half of this year, and as the sector resets in terms of the volumes that it's producing, that continued support from the government will be even more critical.
It's the extreme situation in industries like this that have led to this economy-wide number. The British economy shrinking by 2% in the first 3 months of this year. The last time that the economy performed that badly was the financial crash at the end of 2008. In fact, since modern records began, there have only been 4 other occasions when we've seen a worse economic decline over 3 months. And economists forecast that the current quarter will see a hit much, much worse, off the historical scale, and that all but confirmed by the Chancellor.
Well, as you know, a recession is defined technically as 2 quarters of decline in GDP. We've seen one here with only a few days of impact from the virus, so it is now, yes, very likely that the UK economy will face a significant recession this year, and we are in the middle of that as we speak.
The figures only reflect a week or so of shutdown in late March. The company planning how to reopen the UK's 2 biggest shopping centres next month has never seen anything like it.
Lockdown wasn't complete lockdown because we do have essential services within our centres. So while footfall has diminished, they are still open. It's not a surprise. We've all been effectively locked in our homes for the best part of 2 months. So of course, the economy is going to take a hit. I think the bigger question will be how do we recover?
When you get across the country, empty streets, empty offices, empty skies and empty shopping centres, you get a shrinking economy, the start of a recession that is down to the pandemic and the shutdowns. But the economy was already stagnant when the virus hit. And the idea that coming out of this, all the lights that were switched off in the economy to protect our health will suddenly be turned back on, that is looking rather hopeful now. It's not just mountains of unsold stock at shops. Here, a former RAF base in Oxfordshire, now full of expensive unsold cars, as sales in the industry fell 97% last month. The opposition says even more must be done.
Obviously, there's already been an increase in unemployment. We need to do what we can to try and stop that becoming even bigger, and above all, stop lots and lots of people becoming unemployed at the same time, because clearly then it's very, very difficult for them to get other forms of work.
For now, the Chancellor too focused on spending to support the economy out of recession rather than the eye-watering sums implied for government borrowing.
Deficits of hundreds of billions, £500 billion.
Well, I think it's completely too early to speculate on those things. That is a result of the coronavirus impacting us and every other economy as well, but also because of the measures that we've put in place. And what is clear that if we hadn't put those unprecedented measures in place, the outcome would be far worse. So I think that is the right thing to do to protect jobs and incomes at this time, support businesses to get through this.
Even in recovery, some business models will struggle. When you can be trained from home, will people want to pay for physical gyms? Rich's studios, spinning classes have become a subscription online exercise business.
Initially, I was extremely upset, of course, devastated. My initial thought was, what can I do? I think there is a new normal here now, and the new normal, we're sort of adjusting to it as a society and certainly from a business perspective. Hello, welcome.
The challenge now, not just to beat the virus, but to turn around an extraordinary recession and leave the nation fighting fit for a different type of economy.
And Faisal is with me now. So we have the Chancellor today saying we're probably in a deep recession already, and the measures they're taking are amounting to an enormous cost. Where do they go?
Well, the amounts are racking up, and in any recession, the spending goes up, the taxes go down, the bridge between that is borrowing. This is a significant recession, so that's more significant, the amount of borrowing, and it's a significant recession against the backdrop of a viral pandemic that requires, frankly, strange stuff like having to pay people to stay at home by the million. So even more again. So yes, large sums, hundreds of billions. And yet, in a slightly anonymous office in the city, the government is quietly going about borrowing this money by the record, day in, day out, with no real problem from international lenders, bit of help from the Bank of England. And the reason is that the perception is, yes, these are large amounts, but not to spend them and to tolerate unemployment levels at 5 million would cost even more. So that means that, yes, there's a bill, but the consensus, the Treasury, the government, the opposition, the Bank of England, is that you're still looking at the menu of rescue options as we establish how big the hole in the economy is, and those figures today help us work that out. And the bill can wait. Not today, not this year, maybe not even next year.
Faisal, many thanks again. Faisal Islam, our Economics Editor.